Well, hello there. Welcome to another edition of Real Talk for Real Men. I am your host, Lee Black, and this is our Wednesday show, and we're live every Wednesday, every Sunday, where we talk about things that pertain to relationships, men, women. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. And on our Wednesday shows, we try to infuse a little bit of insight into your world about what's going on with relationships. So I'm looking forward to sharing some information with you tonight. And let me bring on my co-hosts on this Wednesday, March 23rd, all the way from Memphis, Tennessee. What's going on, Tasha Mack?
Not much at all. It's a nice lazy day here. That crazy round of storms. So it's kind of dropped the temperature here, and you got a great game going on right now. But we're going to tune into the show.
Absolutely. I am going to get to the game as well. But we are at hump day. And
Mhm.
I am having a pretty decent day as well. It's been an uneventful day. Just so you know, here in Atlanta, the weather is a little warm. Most people will say magnificent. A little warm for my taste. I like 50s and 60s. It's 82 degrees. So we got around the storms as well. Cleared up from this morning. And then, of course, I was out there for about 3 hours. That was beautiful early. Then it just got a little too warm for me because I like cold weather. But having said that, great day. Having a really decent week. My mom is recuperating and recovering at home. Family's good. Job is what it is, but it pays the bills. So, you know, I'm
Go.
having a decent week. I see I got my brother Kenny popping in from Texas. What's going on, brother Kenny?
We
You
can't
know,
hear you.
let me see. We got you on mute. Got my brother Kenny on mute.
I think I'm muted. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hmm.
sir. How are
Okay,
you doing?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Fantastic.
Good.
Good to see you, my brother.
You
Good to
too.
see
You
you.
too.
Yeah. Hope you're safe. I know you guys had around the bad weather there,
Yeah,
over the last day
Monday.
or two. Yeah. So,
Yeah, Monday. It was 8 tornadoes that hit in North Texas.
oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah,
Oh
it
my
was pretty
God.
rough. But yeah, we good though.
Absolutely. Well, good to see you. Good to have
You
you, my brother.
you
You
too.
know. So look, where there's two or more gathered in his name, that's what the Bible says. I'm not saying I'm God, but I am saying that we're gonna get this thing cracking, you know. And tonight we're gonna be talking about why it's so difficult to leave an unhealthy relationship. So many times we can always aspire to have a great relationship. We're looking for that one. Here it is, spring. We're all looking to shed, the shackles of winter, and the cuffing season is ending. Now it's time for people to get out there, get back into the game. But I got to thinking about the fact that, if you've never been in a bad relationship, a lot of times you can't see it if you might be in one yourself.
Mm.
But when you look at other people, I think sometimes if you're like me, you sit back and you think, man, you can see it. And why are they still staying? As a man who's always had female friends my whole life, that's been my best friends. I've given a lot of advice over the years. I mean, I've had many people on my couch, my figurative couch as a psychiatrist, and you wonder, why do people continue to stay in relationships? Because you can see it. And then as I've aged and as I've come to this point in my life where I realize, you know, younger, you think, well, man, they should just walk away. He or she should just walk away. This is not a healthy thing. But then I've come to realize it's not as easy as you would imagine. So before we get into this, and we're going to talk about some specific reasons why people find it so hard to leave an unhealthy relationship, I want to ask you two, have you ever found yourself in an unhealthy relationship? And just give me it. Well, Tasha's already said, and give me a brief rundown, just to kind of give us some context and how you got out of it, or how long did it take?
Um, oof, this is, I feel like it was like a lifetime ago almost. I was like 18, I think like 18 or 19, and I would say, like maybe not like the first like real relationship, but maybe like the second one. We were we were living together, so that brings like a whole added layer to it. But we were both young, still trying to navigate just the whole world of dating, and just all the differences that you have to deal with in that person, good and bad. And then of course the behaviors that you're not used to dealing with, like when you're that age, you don't know so much like about someone being a narcissist, or someone not validating your opinions and your feelings. And I was in a situation, unfortunately, to where like I wasn't in contact with my family, so I kind of only had him. And I did lose myself in the relationship. I made him like, I kind of felt like he's all I had. And so I really got like wrapped up into, like him and everything. It was abusive. It was all
Wow.
those things. And I would
Wow.
say we were together for like 3 years, I think. I think it was like, I don't
Wow.
know, like 2 or 3 years. And then like after we broke up, then there's like that whole period of going like back and forth, like whether or not you're gonna like really like work it out. We did that for a few years, and then finally we officially, like what it made it official to where it was like I'm never getting back with this person. Um he had two kids by like two different girls, and so that's why I was like, yeah, I can't do that with him. But it was a lot was shown and revealed to me when his brother was died. Like his brother died, he was killed tragically, like in a motorcycle accident. And the behaviors that he exhibited after that was so, he was so selfish and so self-destructive. It just made me like not want to be around him anymore.
Wow. Okay. I was not expecting that much
It was
detail,
a
but
lot.
wow, yeah, that's a lot,
Wow.
Welcome, brother Lamar. This is Mr.
What's up,
TFG himself.
Lamar?
Real talk for real men is part of the TFG platform of shows, and you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and a plethora of shows if you just subscribe to the TFG channel. So that's Mr. Lamar. Appreciate you. So again, welcome Hannah, from North
What's up,
Carolina.
Hada?
Yeah, good to
Hey,
see
What
you,
up?
y'all.
sir.
Hey.
And so we're gonna jump into this because I've got a lot of good material I want to cover, but I promise I'm gonna give Kenny, you and Hannah as well an opportunity to answer that question through the context of these questions about whether you too have been in an unhealthy relationship. So I'm gonna jump into some of these things because I think it's a lot of great material. Reps, how you doing? How
Hey,
you
what's up,
doing?
Reps?
She said, T, so glad you dodged that bullet.
Whew. Yes, because it was and it still is like, even though he's 34 years old, he still does the same shit, and it aggravates me to no end. But that's me. If I told you a story, I could go on and tell you stories about this person, but it's just crazy.
I think one of the things I want to mention about that before we get into some of these reasons is you mentioned your age. You was 18 and you
Hmm.
stayed in it for 3 years. And
Right.
then the abusiveness. I in my life I've met so many women that when you look at somebody, this is why you can't judge a book by its cover. As forthcoming as you are, Tasha, dare I say even mean and assertive, the idea that you would be in a relationship where there was abuse, that kind of that stands out for
Yeah.
me. But it just goes to show, a lot of times you can't see behind that veil.
Mhm.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So we're gonna jump into one of the reasons in particular. You fear being alone and assume being with anyone is better than being lonely.
Mm-hmm. That's
This is
true.
a huge one right here. You fear being alone. Myself, Tasha, Kenny, we're all single.
Mm.
So as I jump this off, and I'm gonna hand it over to you guys to comment on this. You know what I've discovered over the years? Being single is not for everybody. It's harder than it looks. You know, when we sit here and we show up for on this panel week after week after week, not everybody is comfortable and even knows how to be their own best company and to be with themselves. And here we are post pandemic, and a lot of people are still struggling with that. But how many times have we seen this play out either with ourselves or people we know, that the person fears being alone and they assume that, you know what, being with just somebody is better than being lonely? And I'll let you guys take it away.
Yeah, that's definitely the challenges of your singleness. Is like, do you just for the sake of being lonely, do you just say, okay, I just want to be with somebody, even if that somebody isn't who you really want to be with, and then you're cheating yourself as well as that other person.
Absolutely.
So again, I know people, tout being single as a badge of honor, which is cool. Learn to live in your singleness, but I think a lot of times people are not being truthful and honest, and say like, "Yeah, it's hard sometimes being single. It would be nice to have someone to lean on, someone to talk to, someone to help me through some situations." So yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Welcome, Shantae. How you doing,
Hey, what's up,
sweetheart?
Shantae?
Thank
Hey.
you. And I want to ask the ladies a question here as I get into this. Rep says that fear of loneliness can be suffocating, but I learned the hard way it's okay to be alone rather than a warm body. So, Tasha, I think I know the answer because I know where you are right now.
Mhm.
How do you cope? I'm asking you, and I'm a question. I want you, but I'm gonna come to Hannah first. But I want you to think about this, Tasha. How do you cope with being alone? And I'm careful how I'm phrasing this. How do you cope with being alone instead of just settling to be with somebody? And then I know, Hannah, you're in a relationship. Have you ever found yourself, in this scenario where, you know what, I'm gonna put up with this because I just don't want to be by myself?
So I kind of went the opposite direction. Like after I got a lot of a horrible marriage, I did try to date, and I had to realize at that moment I actually had to be single because I didn't know myself, and I wasn't good for anybody. So I don't think I was ever in that situation. I think I stayed in a bad situation for religious reasons versus not wanting to be lonely. Because I actually didn't mind being by myself because during that time I found myself and I realized what I will tolerate now, what I won't. It's a lot that you learn when you're by yourself. So I don't think I'm necessarily went that road. I went a different road.
Okay. I too experienced the religious aspect, and as we go through these, I want you to see where you find that fits into one of these categories, where religion can keep you together, and where it falls into one of these categories. But Tasha, how do
Mhm.
you cope with that being alone? In terms of not giving in to the temptation to, well, you know what, I'm just gonna have somebody.
Something, it's definitely come with time. And I would say, even like having your own and taking those extra steps and making your home as comfortable as possible. But for me, what makes it easy to remind myself that I really don't want anybody around me right now is when I go out simply to the grocery store and just being around other people just for a short amount of time. It irks my nerves so bad.
I got you.
It's just the little thing. So like right now, it's an easy reminder, for me that, okay, yeah, with how I'm feeling, and just being as irritated as I am with people, it's just best for me just to be alone, because I don't want to make someone miserable by being mean and just being moody around people. I would just much rather just stay by myself.
I feel you. What's up, Antoine? How you
What's up,
doing? Good to
Antoine?
see you, my brother. Brother Kenny, you and I both single men. Have you ever thought about, you know what, man? Shit, I ain't gonna be up in here by myself. I'm gonna get me a bed warmer. You know what I'm saying? Because it's my place. I'm calling the shots. Has that? How much does that go through your head as you think about just going out to get somebody, just so you can have somebody?
I would be lying if I didn't say that does cross my mind every now and then. But on the flip side too, I just know my situation right now. I think it's best for me to be single due to my some things I don't really want to elaborate on. But it's just that as a man being single, it's a little different because I think men, when you're single, if you're trying to date, that takes on a lot of financial responsibilities and
Ooh,
other things too.
ooh.
So sometimes you might you can be in a situation where, like, you know what, I ain't got it like that right now. I'm just trying to do my thing and trying to get better. So that plays into it, and again, it's a struggle. Don't get me wrong. I know everybody say a lot of women don't care about that. That's I don't, I think that's BS. But so that kind of is where I am, and don't get it twisted. It is a struggle for me every day, but I'm like, nah, I best not do that. I just need to s- take care of what I need to take care of at this point.
I appreciate your honesty, my brother, because again, I gotten asked that question, and many times you need somebody, or you're gonna find somebody, because the assumption is that you must be so unhappy alone that you gotta have somebody. And like you said, brother Kenny, I'd be lying if that hadn't crossed my mind from time to time over the years. Damn, especially in winter, we just came out of cuffing season.
Right.
That for me is when it's probably the toughest. I was out for 3 hours a day watching asses, so I enjoyed that. But
Yeah.
when it's winter, you thinking, I might want to get me something
Yeah.
silky and nice to walk around in here. What's up,
Yeah.
sis? How you doing?
What's up,
Yeah.
everybody? Hi,
All right.
Hey,
brother.
what's
Hey,
what's up,
Sherry.
Sherry? Yeah,
You
and
know,
it's sundress season too now, so this
yes, it,
dang show gonna be a struggle.
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Y'all about
Sh-
to act up.
Shante said, no, we keeping it real. Shante said, I'm good being by myself. Have to be something special for that to change.
Yeah.
Amen.
I
Amen,
know that.
Shante. And that's where that self-worth comes into play. That you're waiting on the right thing and not just anything. All right, let's go to number two. This is another reason why some people find it so difficult, to leave an unhealthy relationship. The relationship is activating an attachment wound, and letting go feels like an insurmountable threat, but it really isn't. How many of you know what I mean by that? You know what I'm saying? As adults, we're raised, to be caregivers. We all have emotional needs, and that's something that's a part of our crucial development stage. And we're drawn to people. It's natural to want to be with somebody, and if you've learned early on to associate, love with, conflict and volatility and inconsistency, it's so easy to subconsciously get to a point where you think that I'm going to hold on to the hope that maybe this time this is the one. Things are going to be different. If I just hang in there, you know what I'm saying? Because you're living for that fantasy that, if you let go, so there's an attachment, to the person because you know what? You're holding on to the fantasy of it all. Anybody know what that's like?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's true.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Hannah.
I'm gonna say I did stay for reasons where I thought, yeah, I know you can't change anybody. No one can change unless they want to. I already knew that. But I did stay hoping, you know what, maybe this time he'll change. I even filed for separation for close to a year and then came back. It's like, okay, he'll change. It'll work out. We have kids, and sometimes kids cannot make a situation better. I had to learn that the hard way. Filed for separation again and came back. So it did not change, and then eventually I just filed for divorce because clearly the space wasn't changing. And but I did think, oh, he's going to change. I could stick it out. If I stick it out, he'll change. If I give him some space, he'll change. The kids, maybe he'll see that. You want your family, he'll change. So I kind of can relate to that situation.
I'm glad you brought kids into the equation because this one right here, when it talks about the attachment wound, so many times people think that, you know what, it's just going to be too much trouble. I ain't about to start over. You know what I'm saying? I got this person already broke in. How many times we heard these excuses? I already know all their bad habits. I ain't about to break nobody else in. I know women right now who know they're in an unhealthy situation. The guy's cheating, not providing, all of those things. But if they figure out reasons why, if there's kids involved, or let's say if they really are married, oh my God, the cost and the expense of going through a divorce, and I got to do this, I got to do that. So they just sit pat. And you see people stay in those relationships for years where they're not even really free. So guess what? Even if Mr. or Mrs. Right came along, they're still not really free. They're still entangled and attached to that other person, all because there's some false sense of, it's just too much trouble, so I'm gonna stay in it.
I will say
Good,
for
Tasha.
me, I can definitely, like, with this topic in general, like I can definitely relate to it, but specifically with this, the activating the attachment wound. He was so successful in isolating me not only from
Mm,
my family but also from any friends that I had. Like he would, when we first started dating, like of course he had all these comments to make about like my friends and everything, to where it was an issue if I wanted to go out with them. It was a problem. And so I just stopped. So for me it was just easier. But I'll be damned if I go back and apologize to my parents, or come hat
woo.
in hand, before I'll just deal with him. That's to and so, like, for me, I definitely can relate to that one.
I love that. And you brought in another factor that, what about those relationships where the balance of power financially is
Mhm.
such that there's an attachment?
Yeah.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Where you talked about he did a good job separating you. There's a lot of men in particular, we're very good at this, that I'm gonna bring you in. I want you to be a stay-at-home wife, woman. I got everything. And you see this on social media platforms all the time, because women, if he ain't a real man if he ain't paying all the bills. And sometimes, ladies, that's a trap.
Mm.
Because
Mhm.
my thing is, okay, I'm gonna set you up in this house. You got the car, you got everything. But guess what happens over time? Sometimes you're completely dependent upon that person, because now you're no longer investing in getting an education. What if you with them for years and now you've lost valuable time being out of the job market, developing your marketable skills, and this person at any time can pull the rug out from underneath you. And so there's a sense of attachment to them, because damn, you know what I'm saying? To leave, look at where I'd have to start from all over again.
Mhm.
And that's a very good point, Black, because it's funny you brought that particular part up. There is a question that was posted in a group today that asked in a different group, why did our grandparents' marriages last a lot longer than those today? And what you just said is a perfect reason why. A lot of times those marriages last because the man was the breadwinner and their wives couldn't go out and get a job and couldn't work. So, and I always tell people, just because the traditional marriages and stuff you think last and we're happy, those were built on a foundation of dysfunction.
Bravo, bravo,
Well
bravo,
said.
bravo. We tend to think that when we look back on granddad and grandma was together for 40 years. Woo! When you start pulling back the curtains, and if grandma probably was really honest, in many cases, these were arranged marriages. I know back in Southern times, they married, my mother married 14, 15, 16 years old.
Hmm.
That's all she knew, with a man that's much older than her. And so, yeah, y- y- what I hope it
Yeah,
comes from this show is you don't have to stay. Now, Sherry, you had a thought?
yeah. I was just gonna say I agree with everything you guys are saying, and I learned a valuable lesson. And it was hard for me because I learned to what Hannah said. Don't never stay with a person for the because of kids. But I had a little different cut. I stayed with the person because I had, I wanted my family together. Plus, I didn't have a father myself, so I wanted for my daughter what I didn't have. You know what I mean? But I've learned that's still not a reason to stay.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
valid points.
Which
Yeah.
leads us to number three. And Kenny, you already touched on it. a lot of people, they stay because they just don't want to start over because they've invested so much time and energy. It's not just time sometimes, it's energy in the relationship. You know, you know what it takes sometimes for people to go out and get that woman, to get that man. And we talk about introducing them to our representatives. And I think about some of these newer relationships where, you know, the amount of energy that's put into getting the person and they're social media ready. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I mean, now you've attained the status of getting all of the likes that you want because it's relationship goals. So the time and energy that you put into it, and oh my God, am I going to get up out of this? And so for some people, they stay for those reasons, and that's a hell of a thing. I always the same dumbass always come trying to plug on the channel, but anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tasha.
Yeah,
Fussing up.
but to this one, I wanted to say that, I think back to, and just being in that situation. I do think, though, that a lot of it, yes, it was a lot of wasted time and energy, but also I knew that I also didn't want to deal with what was to come after, and really having to look, like hold a mirror up, so to speak, and a lot of self-reflection. I didn't want to put energy into that, and to really come to terms with that. I didn't I don't like who that person is, so I'd much rather just stay with this person and be miserable, so then I don't have to face myself.
I got you. I got you.
I like
Um,
that.
for me, full disclosure, my marriage fell into this category right here. I absolutely loved my wife, no doubt about it. But from the religious aspect, I was taught that marriage was forever. That there
Mm.
was only one grounds for divorce, which was adultery or death. That's how you got out of it. That was my mindset. And so here I was 8.5 years into a marriage now. And so that was a significant amount of time and energy I had put into this marriage to try to be a husband. And this was the hardest decision I ever had to make. Hands down, this was the hardest decision I ever had to make because I didn't have scriptural grounds for wanting to get out of the relationship. And I justified it, the fact, by saying we still loved each other, but it wasn't what marriage was supposed to be. Without taking you too deep down that rabbit hole, we had become roommates more than husband and wife. And we were performing the duties of husband and wife. She was still giving me that snatch and everything and cooking and all that kind of stuff, so we didn't have no problems in the bedroom, so to speak. But it wasn't what a marriage was supposed to be. And I would drive from Memphis to Nashville on a nightly basis, trying to figure out. I knew I wasn't happy. I knew she wasn't happy, but we had both put so much time and energy into making this. And here's the piece de resistance. In everybody else's eyes, we had a perfect marriage. We never
Mhm.
argued. We never fought. Materially, we were both making super money. There were no kids involved. We were traveling, going. We had material things. So this was pre social media. So this wasn't where we took pictures. But everybody who knew us from the outside looking in, we had it all. We had conquered, all of the normal things that would derail a marriage, family issues, financial issues. It looked like we were sitting on the mountain, but that's why I said when you pull the curtain back, it was not a healthy relationship. And literally, I had to come to the conclusion that we need to go our separate ways before we start dishonoring the marriage with cheating. And that was where the decision was born from. You know, I wanted her and myself to be able to walk away with a friendship and enough love that we weren't leaving because there was somebody waiting in the wings. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
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 And so before we start dishonoring the marriage, because I'd seen those relationships where why people we know people do this now. They're married or together, but they still screw other people. And this
Right.
that open relationship thing, she deserved more than that. So I wasn't gonna do that to her. And
Yeah.
then I want to do it to myself. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So I wanted her to be free. And that's why even when we split, I wanted her to be set. We split everything down the middle. So this was a woman who moved in, didn't have to buy a fork, didn't have to buy a plate. She had transportation. She had over $7,000 in the bank. She had I wanted her to be set to be able to explore whatever else was out there for her own happiness on her own terms. I thought that was important to me,
Mm.
but it just wasn't a healthy place to be. And I'm looking back on it now, I always have those feelings of maybe I could have stayed, but I'm actually, what overrides that is I'm happy. She's remarried. Now she's on husband number 3. So it took 3 people to replace your boy. But,
You know what?
but she's
You know
remarried. I
what?
hope she's happy, but
I felt
anyway,
good.
I hope she found what she's looking for, and I'm still looking. But
Yeah.
that's a good thing. All right. All right. Here's another big one, guys. Holding on to the hope of your partner's potential rather than the person right in front of you. Who in this room has been in this situation where you're waiting on them to be all they can be?
Yes.
Tasha, I know you know about
Yes.
this.
I
You
think
know?
I think for women this falls really hard on us and like with certain guys, like we can fall in love with the thought of you,
Woo.
with who we could see you to be, but then there is that hope, that waiting, and that's why I think some women it's easy to be led on, because that's what you're waiting for, him to kind of like wake up and just to be that person, but that person will never be. So
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
indeed. And
Mm-hmm.
I do think primarily women, y'all are really good about, you're right, falling for the potential of a man.
we
Mm-hmm.
romanticize a lot of
Yeah.
them. So
Very
yeah.
much so. Very much so.
Yeah.
Hannah, you had a comment, or Sherry?
I'll say this. I knew he wasn't shit when we got married. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to front or fake. We got married honestly because I was a preacher's kid. He took my virginity. My parents found out, and that was a no go in the
Okay.
church for my
So
Okay.
family.
Okay.
basically arranged marriage, like you were saying,
Yeah.
man.
So I knew he wasn't shit. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, I knew. Now,
Wow.
he had good qualities. I'm not going to dog and disrespect because he did have good
Okay.
qualities. Like I didn't pay one bill, and I work because I'm not no housewife. I'm working for my money. I was in college working this and that. So he had good qualities for as being a provider, for as family oriented when he wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna say he always wasn't, but I knew the type of person he was. I didn't know it was as bad though. I'm going to be honest. I had an inkling because we were so young. I didn't know how bad it was going to get. Had I known that, or had I not been, because I got married at 18.
Mm-hmm.
Had I known and was able to speak up for myself, even though people say I'm 18, I'm grown. You're really not 18 and grown.
Mhm.
Sometimes you really not grown.
Ah, absolutely.
And I'm trying to tell my 16-year-old that now, but he don't understand. But you not grown.
That's right.
So I think that I knew it, but I'm like, you know what? Maybe throughout the years it'll change. It'll change. It'll get better. It'll get better. No, it doesn't. And sometimes you have to learn. But I'm gonna say this. Everything I went through, I'm actually happy with what I went through because it taught me what I can survive, what I can overcome, and what I won't accept or allow in my life anymore. So it
Absolutely.
was a lesson that I needed to know. I didn't probably shouldn't have stayed in a lesson so long. Kind of should have been like a 1, not 10 year lesson. However, I learned from it, and I don't take any experience. I took my experience from it, and I put it and apply it now in my everyday life.
Absolutely. Let me ask you something, Brother Ken, because even though I think women specialize in this, how about as a man, have you ever been in a situation where you stayed longer than you should have based on potential?
No, I can honestly say I have never done that. I think again, I think that's more of a woman will ride it out, so to speak, because of their love, or they got that dude, he bringing something to the table, i.e. probably the bedroom a lot of times, that and some other things where they'll ride it out. I think men, we don't really, be honest with you, men, we don't really look at that for we stay long just because we see a woman's potential. We pretty
I
much
did. I
did you
did.
okay?
But I agree with
Right.
you. I think it
Yeah.
doesn't happen that often.
Yeah,
But I'm gonna share with you how it for me it really did.
yeah, I think we're kind of, men are kind of wired is like what we see is what we
I
see,
agree. I
and
agree.
and we
I
see
agree.
and we got to see something in you, but again, I think we don't really just base it on potential.
And I agree with you 1,000%. But then there's those rare occasions where we do stay longer than we should because of what we think we might gonna get out of it. I'm gonna share something with you.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah.
But I'm gonna read a couple of comments. Jenny from the block says, I've been down that road and learned some tough lessons. What you see is what you get. She said when she figured out the real you, bye-bye, baby. Shantae says she got married at 24, which she does not recommend. Wish I had waited until my 30s. Shantae, that's the
Say that
most valuable
again.
advice I give people all the time. I think in your 20s is way too early to get married, to be
It is.
committed and serious. You don't know yourself yet. 30s is a perfect age when you've experienced some things. I agree with you 1,000%. Real quick about potential, Brother Kenny's right. As a man, by and large, I know pretty much immediately. I actually really we go by sight. I know from the beginning when it's a roller coaster ride. She might have a fat
Mhm.
ass or whatever, and I know that I'm gonna ride this ride for a little minute, but I know she's not the one. But I have been in a situation though where somebody I stayed too long. It wasn't healthy in the sense that all of the indicators were there that she wasn't ready for what I was ready for, but I was in love with her.
Mm.
She was physically attractive. Hygiene was ridiculously on point. Personality wise, she was the opposite of me. And this in my head, I was thinking, I need somebody like her to balance me out. I'm a damn fool. I'm wild. I'm all this and that. This was the good girl. So I started imagining if I was going to have kids with somebody, this is who I would want it to be with. And I stayed in this unhealthy relationship. Tasha know who I'm talking about here. I stayed in this unhealthy relationship for years. For years. Even though we weren't in a lot of those years technically together, I was waiting in the wings, holding out hope that at some point we would find our way back to each other because I could see potentially that she would be for me, I thought that this was the standard of what I thought a wife should be. You know, she didn't drink, didn't smoke, all these habits. So I thought the potential of what I thought a wife should be or a mother of my children should be. And I am ashamed a little bit to say it that I put up with shit from her that I would never have put up with anybody else. And I had to truly gather my strength and leave this unhealthy relationship. Tasha knows about this, so it doesn't happen often with men, but it does indeed happen. Number 5, you attach your worth to the relationship status.
Mm.
Don't we see this in current relationships today?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
know, when I said at the beginning of this conversation, sometimes people can't see the forest for the trees. I know people right now who on social media right now, they got the cars, they got the house, the relationship goals, and it defines who they are, you know, that they're with this person. Some people even seek out becoming a wife or husband for the title because that defines them, you know, and they think that unless you hit the level of becoming a wife, you know what I'm saying? You single bitches, y'all don't know what y'all doing. It's the message that they want you to pass along, that they want to pass along. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
I said people act like it's a doctorate degree. Like,
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes,
mm,
yes, they do. You know, we've seen it, play out on our own show over the years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, you have to be careful. But for some people, the relationship itself defines who they are, that they don't exist as an individual. I'm gonna say this, and this is not somebody on this show, because I gotta be careful how I phrase this. Ooh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Don't say it. Don't say it because that I know who you talk. Don't say it because that
No,
person
no,
want.
no,
Don't
no,
say
no, no,
it.
no, no, no. This is somebody different. I'm not gonna
wow,
go
we
there.
want to
Uh-uh.
know. It might
I'm not
help
gonna go
somebody
that one.
out here.
I'm not gonna go that one. I'm gonna say it enough like this. There's somebody I know right now that I love. I love this person, and they've been married for a good length of time. I'm masking this as best as I can, but every single thing about this person is their marriage. I truly do not believe this person could function as an individual in a room by themselves. Notice
Wow.
I'm not giving you agenda here.
Right.
Mm.
I'm not giving you agenda here. I believe this person that if you picked her up and plopped her in the middle of the room without that person's significant other, they could not function, because every single thing about them is defined by their marriage, who they are,
Mm.
where they live, what they drive. Every single thing about them is that their entire self-worth is attached to the relationship status itself. And it's
You
the
did
most unhealthy shit you ever want to see.
you did say her, but you meant to say her or him, right? But you
Thank
you
you.
did okay.
Thank
Yes,
you.
we knew,
Okay.
Kenny. We knew.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
I'll say
you.
this though. I'm not sure who it is,
I'm not
but
either, but I just wanted to
I
clarify
realized
that part.
one
So
thing,
I was trying to
even
be so
in a
careful,
marriage or a
yeah.
situation, or even
but it
as
is a
a
her. This is a her. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Hannah.
I'll say this, even in a marriage or a long term relationship, or even as a parent, you have to have time to define yourself. You can't just be a wife. You can't just be a mother. You can't just be a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a father. You have to still have an individual life. Like even if it's getting out and taking lunch by yourself or taking a drive, just define who you are, because you can be married, but you don't want to lose yourself. And I'll be honest, I'm speaking from experience. I did lose myself. And I can say this because I spoke from experience. I didn't talk about myself like that because I knew I was my own person. But at times I really forgot. Like, no, you're Shahana. Like you don't have to. You're not just a wife. You're not just a mom. You are your own person. You weren't a twin. You just you on your birth certificate. You were born here by yourself. Why are you so attached to the title sometime and not realizing? So I feel like even no matter what situation you're in, I feel like you still just need time for yourself. And I
Look,
know during COVID it made it a little bit harder sometimes for people to even be their self during COVID because you were around that person all day, every day, in and out. Some maybe you gotta go to the bathroom, take a bath, go in your car, play some music. But you do gotta define yourself because if you live in your life defined by your marriage, then if that person passed, what's gonna happen? Do you not know yourself?
look how beautifully you phase right into number 6, and just even with that story, because for so many people, they don't have an
Well, I
identity,
didn't know that was
Hannah.
coming up.
While you were talking, I put it out there, because for so many people, they do not have an identity outside of the relationship. They are Mrs. Such and so, you know. And then in today's culture, we see it reverse even with men. The man, his identity is attached to the woman, because especially here in Atlanta, where these entitled bitches are on the grind and out here getting it, you know what I'm saying? The man sits in the shadows, you know what I'm saying? And so it's an unhealthy place to be, when you're living in somebody's shadow, because you haven't developed your own identity inside of that relationship. And I know you talked about COVID. I preached this for as long as I can remember. I think it's healthy to have outside interests that's different than your mate. So when I see this new generation of he couldn't possibly cheat with you because he with me every day, that right there tells me that that's unhealthy. When you're the first thing that person sees or hears and the last thing, that's not healthy.
Hmm.
It's okay to text and keep in contact with one another. Tasha, I'm gonna let you jump in here because I feel like you got something to say. But as soon as I open my eyes, don't come fuck. Don't. Oh, Tasha, go ahead.
Yeah.
I would say,
You was
I think
right.
Rep said the word correctly earlier. It's suffocating and it's smothering. It is because again, I've been in that relationship. We lived together. It was to the point you were dropping me off to work and picking me up.
Mm,
So constantly together. When your friends would see us, because again, I wasn't around any of my friends, it they would ask where one of us was. So if they did catch us where without the other person, it's always like, oh well, where's Tasha? Or I'm not gonna say his name, but where's he at? It's just one of those things, like your whole everything, your whole world, my whole world was this person. And I didn't know who I was. So after we broke up, and I realized that after we broke up, that I went out and I got back into school. Cause to me, it was like, I got to do something, cause this, I don't know what else to do, because all I could do is sit there and just constantly think about this person and make myself miserable. So,
absolutely, absolutely. We're gonna move in the interest of time. We're gonna move on
yeah.
to this next one. And Tasha, you talked about this in your first at the first part of the show about abuse. You know,
Mhm.
and so what if your partner is emotionally abusive? Why do you think people stay in a relationship with someone that's emotionally abusive? Why do you think they stay?
Because they've torn you down to such a shell of who you were that you begin to believe that.
Wow,
Mm.
wow, and I think there's a silence here because I've never experienced that part.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
that's heavy.
I have rescued someone from an emotionally and physically abusive relationship, and the person went back, and that just made no sense to me whatsoever. That how can you be out of it and you craved it to a certain extent? I understand it now. At that in that moment, I just didn't get it. But as I've aged and with wisdom, there's there's a saying I should say that that this person was damaged in a way that I just couldn't help,
Mm.
you
Mm.
know.
Yeah.
And there are people out there that's been damaged in such a way that the 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 drive and energy it would take to dig them out of that. And here's the plain truth: we need to admit sometimes people you can't save somebody that don't want to be saved.
That's
Right.
right.
Right. Yeah,
So,
that's facts.
Project Pat said the same thing, but we're gonna talk about something else.
you
Don't,
know,
there's wisdom in them songs. There's some
Yes,
can I
it
wisdom.
is.
say something?
Sure.
Okay. So I was, I'll say this. I feel like, because I went through physical and emotional abuse in my marriage. Um, did fight back, but it's still abuse is abuse. It don't matter.
Absolutely.
However, I feel like emotional abuse sometimes lingers way longer than
Physical.
physical abuse. Because you can get yourself together, but when you are like, I was told all types of days, like, oh, I'm too fat, and I'm not gonna be
Mm,
this,
wow.
and certain things, and you're just a mom, mind you. I'm working, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, to the point that I was exhausted from trying to work, cook, clean, and I lived in Philadelphia and was working in New York. You know how far that is,
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
and still coming home getting screamed at and yelled at because dinner wasn't ready, and I'm not home. I'm working and then I'm coming home. So I went through a lot where I did lose myself, and it was like, oh my goodness, like I always had high confidence, but I actually had low self-esteem at some point. that I really forgot, like, oh, maybe I'm this and that. Maybe I gotta lose more weight. Maybe something's wrong, and then I realized this is the kicker. When I found out I was getting cheated on, I was told I was fat, mind you. I wasn't. I feel bigger now, but I wasn't as big as I am now at all.
Mm-hmm.
Every woman was the size of my couch, no lie. Every woman was so big. And I'm like, you're yelling at me, and I'm finding out that the people you're cheating with are big. And I was told, well, a wife shouldn't gain weight. Makes no sense. But in my mind, young and naive, because sometimes people say age doesn't matter. Age does matter sometimes. Because when you're younger, sometimes you put up with a little bit more because you don't have that maturity yet to realize I shouldn't be with this. But yet, now I'm not gonna say be older, you don't put up with it because it's older people that put up with stuff they shouldn't either. But I feel like sometimes when you are mentally abused and someone keeps telling you certain things, you kind of adapt and think it's true, and it's not. So I feel like emotional abuse, and it lingers longer because it kind of lingered in my relationship, but I am happy that he was able to break down my walls
Absolutely.
and come in and see, or you gotta get your shit together.
What's beautiful about this is I promise you we could easily go 2 hours because this is hitting on some real ish, as they say. But
Mhm.
you know, I'm gonna keep it in the interest of time moving, but I didn't want to cut you off because what you were sharing was so valuable. And I hope if somebody tunes into this, that's what I want them to get out of it. Where you were, the realization. You said so many good things and telling and sharing that about your story, because sometimes we even attach, we think men are cheating and they're looking for, and I've been telling women this all the time, it has a lot of times it has nothing to do with the person is sexier than you, it's opportunity. Pussy is pussy. You know what I'm saying? It's time and opportunity. And you can be, oh, a fat woman can't take my man. Oh, yes, they can. You know what I'm saying? So weight and looks and all those kind of things, those are not necessarily factors. And there's something wrong with him, but all the time he made you think there was something wrong with you. You know, so again, that's what I say. But I want to jump to this next one. How
Let me say
about
something real quick, Black, on
sure,
that.
please?
Just real quick. I
No,
know
please.
that a lot of times, men are emotionally abused in their marriages too, but a lot of times men don't talk about it. And I'm just gonna leave it
Woo,
at
I
that.
agree with that.
woo.
I agree with
Very,
that.
very true. Very true. So you know what? I gotta ask Dan, you brother Kenny, why do you think a man would stay even though he's dealing with emotional abuse?
Because of the our society and and what our family, you just been taught as a man, you just man up. You man up, you
Mm.
suck it up, and you keep it moving. And so now that's why you're seeing a whole lot of men that's unstable. I think we can talk about Kanye West as a perfect example of someone that's probably been emotionally abused, and he
Can I
Woo!
doesn't,
say this?
understand. And I know we can go on a whole different rabbit hole with all this, but and I'm not saying this to get sympathy for men, but I think men a lot of times are overlooked
It's
when it comes
overlooked.
to
You're right.
abuse.
It's overlooked.
So
Absolutely, brother Kenny. Come on, Tasha. Yeah, this
Oh
is
no,
important to me.
no, just real quick because I wanted to say this because I know that we had the topic before on the narcissistic mother. I believe
Hmm.
it
Yep.
was something like. But I would say that sometimes I think a man might stay because that's the behavior that he's used to from his mother. So he thinks that that's how
Ooh.
some women are.
Ooh. Ooh.
That's a good one.
Ooh. You really touching on
You and
some
Kenny, okay.
psychology now, because we tend to marry our mother, whether we know it, believe it or not. You know, Freud talked about that. And that's why I say this is important. So I'm sorry, I wasn't going to cut that off. Very good points right there.
Mm.
You know, which could spill over into this next one. You have been conditioned to over function in the relationship, fix, save, or fight for it, even if it's at the expense of yourself. So this kind of goes hand in hand with that potential thing we talked about earlier. And this could be either or, but I know I've seen people stay in relationships where I mean, sometimes it just be straight jacked. This relationship is just trash, and you can see it. And you're like, what the hell are they fighting? I want to curse so bad, but I'm keeping it in check. But you're like, what the hell are they
I think you good now.
No, but I'm trying not to go there. But the people are fighting for it and losing themselves in the process. And I mean, in the relationship itself, like, what are you fighting for? And you see people stay in it all the time. And this is not always just a woman one. On its surface, you think about, I'm gonna fight even though the man's cheating on me. He's in jail. Oh my God, don't even get me started with these jail relationships. You're staying,
right.
But men do the same thing. They stay with women that is clearly out there doing their own thing, clearly should be single, want to be single. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
don't
don't keep going.
Sasha, let her
Don't, because I know where this is going.
But
don't.
Do we not? But ain't we supposed to keep it real? Ain't we supposed to keep it real?
Yeah, we
That's
are.
What the name of the show is
we
supposed real. Look, sometimes if it walk like a duck, if you can go on somebody's social media, I'm gonna ask y'all a question and I'm gonna move on to the next one.
Okay.
If you can go on somebody's social media page and you pull up their social media page, and by their social media page, there is very little evidence that they in a relationship or married. What does that tell you? Everything about them is walking single, behaving single, talking single, acting single. But then on special occasions, look at us, this and that. No. let's keep it funky. I'm gonna move on to the next one. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna keep it real. Another reason for staying in an unhealthy relationship, you're confusing chemistry with compatibility.
I've done that.
That's
I'm gonna say it like this. That's why I'm in a situationship right now. Right here. We have great chemistry, but like in a relationship, we couldn't be more different. But that's it right there.
Now, Brother Kenny, I know you can speak on this one for us as a man.
Yeah, man. Hey, don't get caught up and get confused with these two, because those are two totally different. You can have great chemistry, and your compatibility is out in the woods somewhere.
Absolutely.
You gotta go find hound dogs to go find that doggone compatibility. So don't get caught up with the two. One of them you thinking with your lower level, and the other one you need to be thinking with the higher level.
Bravo. Know the difference. Know the difference between those two, because they are not the same. Shantae says they are either single or cheating and looking to cheat. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. And she said, nah, I'm joking. They should be really private.
No, you're not joking. You hit it on the nose.
Shantae, but they ain't that private when they're all single, living a single life, posting everything. They ain't private then. Oh, okay. All right.
And what's crazy is everybody else can see this.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else can see this. That's the crazy part to me. But anyway,
if somebody comment, I know you was married the day you post your significant other, then you already know. Because I have saw it. I saw Valentine's Day pictures. People was like, "You in a relationship?"
You know what I'm saying? If you like it, I love it.
I'm the same way, Hannah. I was like, man, I didn't know they were married. I never knew they were in a relationship. Oh, I get it. Yeah.
That's real.
I'm sorry, y'all, but that would be me.
You know what?
Nobody.
Jerry, you different.
Yeah, it would be me. A lot of people, if they looked at my social media page, they would.
No, yours is different, sis.
I don't really be on there like that.
Yeah.
But I don't put no pictures up.
So that's what I said. So now we're not talking about
different.
Yours different.
We're not talking
that. You different.
Ain't no pictures of you with no guys got their arms wrapped around you.
Nah, I don't do that.
You ain't at no concerts like single and day. We're not. No.
I'm
Black,
real
you being
discreet.
messy.
I'm real
Yo,
discreet when I'm
no,
creeping.
I'm just
You being messy.
let me
You
move
being
on.
messy as hell.
Let me
He
move
acting
on.
up already.
Let
Thank
me
you,
move
Tasha.
on.
Put him back in
Let me
line.
move on.
I'm real
My
private and
co-host is
discreet.
pulling me back in.
When
Pulling me
when
back
I'm
in.
creeping, I'm real private and discreet.
All right, there you go.
Ain't nothing wrong with
That's
that.
different. Number 10, you are hooked on the highs and lows of the relationship. Ooh, a
Mm.
lot of people stay because they're addicted to the highs and the lows of relationship. Them real big high. And I love this one right here because how many people we know that when they come into a windfall, tax season is coming. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Oh, they
Mhm.
lovey-dovey. You know what you see when tax season come? That's the only time you see men and women in the grocery store shopping together. If you don't believe me, think about it. Think about it. Think about it. When you tax season is when you see men and women shopping in the grocery store that she got that check, you know what I'm saying? And he right there along, and she buying all this. Damn them damn kids. She throwing shit in that basket that he want. She got that check. He in that short window where income taxes is coming, men don't stray that far from home because they need that new PlayStation. They need them new Jordans. They want to
That's
eat.
great.
You know what I'm saying? But then on the flip side,
I can't hear.
they stay with through the highs and the lows because then you see that same person, man. She been down for me whenever, man. This my ride or die. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you, yeah,
Okay.
especially when they about to get evicted,
Then they cling to each other like
Yeah.
that.
Those extreme highs and those extreme lows. Yep.
But if you got multiple mother freaking evictions on your plate, you're probably not good for each other, right?
And you would think.
you know, but they stay, because they ride or die. They ride out the highs and them lows together. Great point. Shantae said tax season, the first big freeze and the first of the month.
We ain't lying.
Oh my God. That's when you
Yeah.
see men and women shopping together. We in the interest of time, we made it to the last one. You believe relationships are hard, and therefore this is just a rough patch that you're going through. People stay together because they think it's just normal. It's supposed to be unhealthy, and it's going to get better. So we just going to ride this thing out together. You know what I'm saying? So let's not talk about those hobosexuals.
Exactly. Yes.
But to speak on this last one, Black, I think we are a lot of times are quick to throw in the flag. I mean, because when you think about it, if you've been in a relationship or marriage, or certainly at the time, obviously it's not going to always be peaches and cream. You're going to have rough spots. But in today's society, I will say that we are quick to pull the plug on it.
That's true too.
We quick to
Sorry.
not want to do therapy. In our community, we don't think that we should be getting counseling as far as marriages and relationships, which I think that should be me personally. I think you shouldn't be allowed to be married unless you've done a year of counseling first as a couple. Me personally, that's what I think.
Okay.
I do think that that's ingrained in us to say, oh, it's just a rough patch. Let's figure it out. But at the end, though, a lot of times you don't even when you get to the rough patch, you like the hell with it. I'm out. Most of us now in our generation. So
Well,
You
I
may you
think.
go ahead,
I'm
Tasha.
sorry.
No, please go ahead.
I no, I just wanted to say that for this last one though, like as far as you believe relationships are hard, I think sometimes though that some people think that that's all it is. And when you get to the point where you're having mostly bad days, it is time to throw in the towel.
And that's where I was going to go. I agree with your point, Brother Kenny,
I
because
agree with that.
I do think we're a disposable people. We throw things away, and so all I would caution people is make sure what you're fighting for is worth preserving.
exactly, that's a great
I like
point.
that.
Great point. If you're the only one fighting, then it ain't worth fighting for. I always say that too. You know, people say
Absolutely.
fight for your relationship, but it takes two to fight. If you in boxing, it ain't one box. It ain't one boxer in the ring by himself. It's another boxer in there too. So
Absolutely.
So like Ike
Absolutely.
and Tina, is that what we're talking about right
You
now?
know
We're
what?
talking about Ike and
You know
Tina.
what?
no. We ain't talking about Ike and Tina. No,
So
I
not
said
that hard.
I
Okay.
said I said a boxing match, Tasha. I ain't say Ike and Tina.
Okay.
I'll say one thing. If one person is fighting, you can try to let your guard down and fight too. You don't have to put the guard up because if you just holding your guard up when the other person is fighting and you want to fight too, some people want to fight too but scared to fight for it as well. So I feel like if that person is fighting and you want to fight, just go ahead and do it together. Don't hold yourself back
I,
from it.
I agree. I agree. So look, sadly, we've come to the end. We even went over 5 minutes, but you know what this tells us on a serious note, and we've discussed this and got a lot of good points in there. This is a subject we need to revisit
Oh
easily,
yeah.
easily. And so, what I hope that my viewers get from this is that talking about relationships is not always fun. You know, we can't bury our heads in the sands like ostriches and talk about only the good things. You know, it'd be great in the real world if relationships were easy and at the snap of our fingers we can go out there and find what we're looking for. They're growing great, compatible mates on trees. That's just not reality. The truth of the matter is relationships are hard work. They're living, breathing entities that you have to work at. And so, wherever you find yourself on this side of the coin, if you're single, like some of us on this panel, where you're looking, hopefully you are using a show like this to really pull back the veil and keep your eyes open to know exactly what it is you're looking for. I hope you're reflecting on your past so that you know that you don't want to make those same mistakes. I say all the time, none of us are relationship experts. That's not what we're pretending to be. If anything, we can tell you what shit don't work. And so what we're trying to share with the viewers is, just to kind of strip away, all of the niceties and talk about this in such a real way that, like Brother Kenny said, if it's worth preserving and fighting for, as Hannah says, then yes, put in the work. But if you find yourself on the inside of some of these 11 reasons we talked about, and you see, or you're being helped to see that you're moving in the wrong direction, and I like what you said, Tasha, if there's far more bad days than good, and you can't see good days on the horizon, maybe it's time to get out of this relationship. Anyway, I hope that you got something out of this. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to my channel. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on YouTube. And as always, I want to get my brother Kenny to talk about where you can find any and all of us. Reps, you're joining us right here at the end as we're ending. So thank you for popping in. But you know what? Because you popped in late, I'll give you what do you have to say for us? Did you want to share something? Okay, well, Brother Kenny, I'll let you close out by telling us where you can find us.
Well,
Reps,
you can
if you're
find
talking,
this show.
we can't hear you.
No, we can't hear you, Reps.
Say something.
Oh, you can't hear me.
No, we can hear you now.
We can hear you.
I can hear you.
You hear you now. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to, I don't know. Okay, I just want to pop in and say, guys, I know I love you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
You know what? You're welcome. Thank you for popping in just to say hello. Come back anytime, every Wednesday and Sunday.
But
we hear you.
Yes, I will. All right, guys.
Okay, there's a little bit of delay. Thank you, sweetheart. Come on back anytime. Look, this is what we do. We welcome new visitors. There's an open seat for anybody that would like to come on the show. We're an inviting group. So, Brother Kenny, tell them
Right.
where they can find us.
Okay, yes.
Well. First of all, reps, we really appreciate you popping in. Thank you, love, and definitely don't be a stranger. And continue to watch specifically this show and all our shows, but this show, Lee Black. You can find him on Sunday and Wednesday with his co-host Tasha. Now it's a new YouTube channel. It's called TFG Uncut. Make sure you go to YouTube, type in search TFG Uncut. Make sure you
Ooh.
subscribe to TFG Uncut. That's where you can find Lee Black with Keep Real Talk for Real Men, as well as other shows on the TFG network. And that is again on Sundays and Wednesdays. Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central, Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Central. Now on Thursday nights, Forgive Us Later. You can find that with Charles Moore, DJ Sullivan, and Lamar Falk. Again, that's their own YouTube channel as well. Go to YouTube, search Forgive Us Later, subscribe to that channel. You can find them on Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. On Fridays, you can find the Real Estate Insider with Lamar Falk. He does something live at 8 o'clock p.m. on the Real Estate Insider on YouTube and on Facebook. Make sure you go check him out. He's always got something going on. I call him the Black Robin Leach of Celebrity Homes. So check out Lamar Falk with the Real Estate Insider as well on Sundays. He's live as well on Sundays at 7 p.m. as well on that same channel. Make sure you go there and subscribe and like and share. Now at 8 p.m. on Sundays, late night with TFG. That is at 8 p.m. Central. That is on their own channel on YouTube, TFG to Late Night with TFG. Make sure you go there and subscribe to that as well. That is on Sunday nights. Now on Monday nights, we got TFG Tonight with the host, Brenton Haynes, and myself, Kendrick, Lee Black, Devin Devine. You can catch us on our own channel on YouTube as well. TFG Tonight with Brenton Haynes. Make sure you go there and subscribe at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on Mondays. Then on Tuesday nights, yours truly, I'm the sports guy, but I talk a little bit about everything. Catch me on the TFG Sports Media channel on YouTube at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday night. So, hey, we got the shows Sunday through Friday. Come on. Make sure you find us on the TFG TV network. You like, subscribe to all those channels. And we're going to give you something to take home and think about and also entertain you a little bit. So there you have it. TFG TV, TFG Tonight.
Absolutely. As always.
Kenny got a TV voice. I love
That's why I let him do it. I can't
Thank
do
you,
that.
Sarah.
You know, as Shante said, as always, catch your favorite clips of all the TFG shows on TFG TV. In case you aren't noticing, TFG TV is the place to be. Reps, I expect to see you back now. Come back anytime. So please, we can appreciate you. And yep, that lineup is hot and as real as it gets. So thank everybody for tuning in.
well.
We roll over a little bit, but we love what we do here. We always try to keep it real at all times, and we hope we entertain you in the process. So until Sunday, everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great time. Be good to each other out there and keep it real.
Bye.
Adobo.